you are a pharmacist who is taking the TOEFL for the FPGEE, this video is for you. There are changes coming to the TOEFL that affect you directly, so I want you to be prepared. Let's get into it. 2026 TOEFL score requirements have changed for the FPGEE. In 2025, the score requirements were reading 22, listening 21, speaking 26, and writing 24. But in 2026, the reading requirements will be 21, listening requirements 22, speaking requirements 25, and writing requirements 22. Wait, before you start thinking that you no longer need to prepare, ETS never makes things easier. What were the last changes? ETS made the TOEFL iBT shorter with fewer questions. They also removed the experimental passages from the reading and listening sections and gave you more time. You would think that this would make the TOEFL easier to pass, but fewer questions means that you can't afford to miss any. And they took away your break. So now you're working your brain, taking a very complicated test for 2 hours non-stop. Therefore, in reality, the TOEFL iBT got harder. Now, let me take a moment to discuss this. You see, because there are many people thinking that the new TOEFL iBT in 2026 is going to be a lot easier, but it's not true at all. There are things that are happening that are going to make the test much better, but there's a few things happening that are going to make the test much harder. Now, you might think, Mr. That's 2026. I'm passing it long before then. I certainly hope so. But just in case, you need to be prepared. In fact, knowing that the test is going to be harder in 2026 might give you greater encouragement to get that test passed now. All right. One other thing I want to say about 2025 changes, they took the TOEFL from being nearly 4 hours long to being only 2 hours long. Only 2 hours? It's still a very long test. But again, people thought that going from 4 hours to 2 hours was going to make the TOEFL easier, when in fact, it made it much harder. Now, let me tell you a little bit about the good and the bad changes for 2026. Take a look. Major changes coming to the TOEFL iBT in 2026. Number one, the good. Easy to understand scoring that aligns with global standards. In addition to their traditional scoring of 0 to 120, the TOEFL iBT will introduce an intuitive score scale of 1 to 6. This additional score will directly align with the Common European Framework of Reference for Language, the CEFR, the world's most recognized English proficiency framework, making score interpretation simpler and more consistent. Upgraded audio equipment. All test center headphones worldwide are being replaced with state-of-the-art custom stereo phones developed in collaboration with renowned audio brand Cost. If you've been to the TOEFL Center, you know that this update in the audio equipment is huge. So many of my students have complained about distractions from other people, and even with their headphones on, they can still hear all the other noise. I'm so happy that ETS is updating the headphones to make it easier for you and more fair for you to get a higher TOEFL score. All right, let's continue on. Faster score reporting. Students will receive their TOEFL scores in 72 hours or less, enabling them to meet application deadlines with greater confidence. All right, this could be good or bad. I mean, instead of waiting 10 days to get your speaking and writing scores, that's very frustrating and caused a lot of anxiety. Now you'll be getting your scores in 72 hours or less. So that should be wonderful, right? Unless they're just going to use AI to score your speaking and writing sections. I'm still a little on the fence about this AI. They haven't perfected it yet. And there's been a lot of controversy, especially among my students that say, hey, sometimes they get a high score, sometimes they get a low score. They've been practicing on the ETS website, giving the same response to the same question. Sometimes they get a low score, sometimes they get a high score, sometimes they get their transcripts back, and it's not what they said at all. So I'm a little skeptical about this one. I hope it works out, and if it does, it'll be great. Let's take a look and see what else are the changes coming to the TOEFL in 2026. Number 2, the challenging. The new TOEFL iBT changes 2026 will introduce a multi-stage adaptive format for the reading and listening sections, tailoring question difficulty in real time based on test taker performance. Wow, that sounds really complicated. What are they talking about? What they're saying is the old TOEFL had 20 questions. They had 2 passages, each with 10 questions. Those questions were always just that level of questions, no matter who you were around the world. You had the same 10 questions for each passage. They're changing that. Now it's going to be a computer adaptive test. You will start out with easier level questions. And if you get those right, the computer will change to a harder level question, which means 2 people sitting next to each other will get different questions in different parts of the world. You never know what questions you're going to get. Now, they say that this is to make the test more fair, but I think what it means is it makes it harder to cheat. You see, you may have noticed that there are people selling the questions to the test because guess what? In this planet, as it spins around, in some parts of the world, it's yesterday. So the people who took the test yesterday have the questions that you need today. And so people have been cheating and selling those questions, which makes the test unfair. How does ETS deal with that? Well, what they're going to do is make it a computer adaptive test, the same way the GMAT has been. If you've taken the GMAT, it's a computer adaptive test. It also determines your level of English at a greater accuracy of your proficiency. So this is a good thing for ETS. It's going to be challenging for you. Fortunately for you, I have always known that the TOEFL has easy, medium, hard, and tricky level questions, and I teach you how to answer the easy, medium, hard, and tricky level questions in my course so that you can pass this test no matter what questions they throw at you. All right, so computer adaptive, let's get it a little bit more. I want to use ETS's words to show you exactly what they mean by this so that you have a full understanding of what you're getting into. Take a look. What is the new TOEFL multi-stage adaptive format testing? The upcoming TOEFL reading and listening multi-stage adaptive format is a method where the test adapts to the examinee's performance in real time. In the context of the TOEFL iBT, this means that initial stage, all test takers begin with a common set of questions. Subsequent stages, based on performance, in the initial stage, the difficulty level of subsequent questions is adjusted. High-performing students receive more challenging questions, while those needing more support encounter questions that better match their proficiency level. This approach aims to provide a more accurate measurement of a test taker's English proficiency by tailoring the test to their individual skill level. Did you hear what they said? This personalized structure ensures that every student receives a fair and accurate measurement of their English ability. Okay, that's what they say that it means, but what it really means is that if you have a higher level of English, you will get a high score on your TOEFL. Otherwise, if your level is at a low level and you don't get through that initial stage, you won't get harder questions. You'll continue to get easy level questions. You'll never get a high score on your test. Also, if you're a medium level, you will get a little bit higher questions, But if you don't get the next level, you're never going to get that respectable passing score that you need to get through to pass your FPGEE. And that's a problem. That's a problem you can fix by taking my online TOEFL course, because I do know exactly how the TOEFL is structured. I know the rules of the test. I know the structures, the rules, the procedures, everything you need to know to answer the easy, the medium, and the hard level questions. And that way, when you take your test, even now, it's not computer adaptive, but there's easy, medium, hard, and tricky level questions. If you're struggling to get over 90 on your test, it's because you get the easy and the medium questions right, but you're not getting the hard level questions right, and that's preventing you from passing. When you take my course, I teach you exactly how to identify those hard level questions and how to go step by step using very specific structures and procedures and rules so that you can answer those hard level questions, pass this stupid TOEFL, get on with your life. If you'd like more information about my TOEFL course, click the link in the description below, and I'll see you inside the course.